Hello everyone. In last video, we learned about introduction to exception handling and a program related to arithmetic exception. Now in this video, we'll try to learn this remaining exceptions. So first one, number format exception. So number format exception in Java is thrown when it is not possible to convert a string into a numeric type. When it is not possible to convert a string to a numeric type, then number format exception will be thrown. So see the program here. Class name is exception demo2. Main method publish static void main string arguments. So our file name will be exception demo2.java. So see here try block and catch block. In try block, we are defining a variable name called as num with the data type int, nothing but integer. So int integer variable name is num is equal to integer dot parseInt. We are writing string, nothing but xyz string value. We are writing a string value here. So variable name is num, which is an integer, but we are inserting string value xyz. So this xyz, nothing but string value, cannot be stored in the integer variable. So exception is raised in the try block. When your exception is raised in the try block, the statement in the catch block will be executed. Now we get this output. Number format exception occurred. Number format exception occurred. Suppose, see here. Suppose, see here, if we write in place of xyz, if we write 10, in place of xyz, if we write 10, now this 10 can be inserted in this integer variable namely num. So this 10 is enclosed in double quotes, nothing but a string value, nothing but it is a string value. Now this integer dot parseInt will convert this string value 10 into integer and convert and store this integer 10 in this variable num. Now this num will contain the value 10. Now system.out.println, this print statement will print the value 10. So in scenario 1, we wrote this xyz value here, which is a string value. So this string value cannot be stored in this integer variable. So this statement raises the exception. When your exception is raised by the try block, then the statement in the catch block will be executed. So number format exception will be raised when we put string value here. In scenario 2, we inserted 10. We inserted 10 value here, enclosed in double quotes. It is also a string, but this integer dot parseInt will convert this string value 10 into integer 10 and store this value 10 in this integer variable, namely num. Now this print statement will print this value which is stored in this num. Next. Next one, array index out of bounds exception. So array index out of bounds exception means that you are trying to access an index of the array that is not defined. When you are trying to access an index of an array that is not defined, then array index out of bounds exception will be raised, will be thrown. Array index out of bounds exception will be thrown. So see the program here. Class name is exception demo3. Main method publish static void main string arguments. So file name will be exception demo3.java. So see here try block and catch block. In try block, we are defining an array, the empty array that contains 10 elements. In try block, we are creating an empty array, namely small a, which contains 10 elements. So see here, this array, namely small a, contains only 10 elements. But I am trying to insert value 9 at index 11, which is not in this array. See here, I am trying to insert the value 9 in index 11, which is not in this array. That means here, I am trying to store the value in the index of the array that is not defined. This 11 index is not defined in this array. So, but I am trying to store the value in index 11, which is not defined in this array. So, this statement will throw the exception. Whenever exception is raised by the try block, the statement in the catch block will be executed. Now we get the output, namely array index out of bounds. Next one, null pointer exception. Null pointer exception occurs when trying to use a variable that does not have any value. So when you are trying to use a variable which has no value, then the null pointer exception will be raised. That null pointer exception will be thrown. Whenever we are trying to use a variable that does not have any value, then null pointer exception will be thrown. Now see the program here. Class name is null pointer demo, main method. In this we are writing the try block and catch block. Try block, see here, a class name is string, object name is a is equal to null. Nothing but I am trying to insert a null value in object A. In object A, I am trying to insert a null value. Null value means there is no value. There is no value. See here now, system.out.println, object name dot method name. Object name is small a. Method name is char at. Nothing but character at index 0. So I am trying to access the character at index 0. But in object, there is no value. But I am trying to insert the character at index 0. So this statement raises the exception. When your exception is raised by the try block, the statement in the catch block will be executed. Now we get the output, namely null pointer exception. Suppose, see here, suppose in place of null, if I return BCA. Suppose in place of null, if we wrote BCA. Now, object A has a value, namely BCA. So index 0 is, in index 0, it has value B. In index 1, it has value C. In index 2, it has value A. So in index 0, we find B value. In index 1, we find C value. In index 2, we find A value. Now we are trying to access the value at index 0. So object name dot method name. Object name is A. Method name is caret. Nothing but character at index 0. So in index 0, we find the value B. So here there is no, here we are not finding any, we are not finding any exception. So when there is no exception, the statement in the try block will be executed. Now we get this output, namely B. Suppose if we put here 1, object name dot method name. Object name is A, method name is character at index 1. Then we get the value C. Suppose if you put 2, then object name dot method name. Object name is A, method name is caret. Nothing but character at index 2. Then we get the value A. But now here we put a null value. Nothing but there is no value. But I am trying to access the value at index 0. So there is an exception. So whenever there is an exception raised by the try block, the statement in the catch block will be executed. So we get this output, namely null pointer exception. If there is an exception in try block, the null pointer exception will be executed. If there is an exception, then the statement in the try block will be executed. Next one, string index out of bounds exception. So see here, string index out of bounds exception occur when an attempt is made to access the character of the string at an index which is either negative or greater than the length of the string. So see here, when we are trying to make an attempt to access the character of the string at an index which is either negative or greater than the length of the string, then the string index out of bounds exception will be thrown. Now see the program related to this exception. Class name, main method. See a try block and catch block. See class name is string, object name is A. Value is, this is like chipping. This is like a chipping. So this is a test which contains a length of 22. So the length is 22. Now see here, I am trying to access the value at index 24. I am trying to access the value at index 24. Nothing but see here, I am trying to make an attempt to access the character of the string at index which is greater than the length of the string. Length of the string is 22, but I am trying to access the character of the string at index 24. Generally, which is greater than the length of the string. So then there is an exception here. So whenever exception is raised by the try block, the statement in the catch block will be executed. So for this statement, the catch block statement will be executed, namely string index out of bounds exception will be executed. Suppose, see here, suppose so see here, suppose if I put value 2 here, in place of 24, I put value 2. Then there is no exception. Value 2 means I get the value, value 2 means, see here, in index 2, I find the value I. In index 2, I am finding the value I. So there is an exception. When there is an exception, the statement in the try block will be executed. So system.out.println, C value is nothing but I. So we get the value I. Suppose if I put 3 in place of 24. So in index 3, we find the value S. Now this value S is stored in this variable name, character variable namely called as C. So this C contains the value S. Now the system.out.println, we get the value S. There is an exception here. But when you are trying to access the character of the string at index which is greater than the length of the string, then there will be an exception. Whenever exception is raised by the try block, the statement in the catch block will be executed. So for this statement, we have given 24, which is greater than the length of the string. Then the statement raises the exception. Whenever the exception raised by the try block, the statement in the catch block will be executed. Suppose if I put value less than 22, then there will be an exception. If there is an exception, the statement in the try block will be executed. Thank you. So these are the programs related to exception handling. Thank you.